Now we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty of what Indians are all about.
I still say we Indian people are believers in the truth. This is the way of life that was given to your people. You're born an Indian, you're going to die an Indian. Indianness is a good life. You're facing an Indian this afternoon.
Good Saturday afternoon out there, everyone, and welcome to your number one source for Native American news. It's Native News Today. I'm Jason Salzman, your host, and welcoming you into episode number 402. We've got 400 in the rear view and now looking ahead as we begin that march to 500, and it's going to start in the infant stages, 402. So definitely wanted to put a number on there. So glad to have you folks with us as always, and we feel like we've got a great program. This program this week, a little bit of a look back, a little bit of a retro. We're going to take a look at some of the things that have happened already this far in 2014 that's really made waves here on the program. We feel like, you know, some of the stories that we've done throughout January, February, and now into March really have caught the attention of some of our viewers, and some of you want to see those again. I've get people stop me, you know, on the highways and byways. Hey, you know, you showed that Code Talkers honoring. That was incredible. That was very meaningful. I wanted to show my dad that, or I wanted to show that to my grandpa. He really wanted to see that. So with that in mind, that's why we keep them around, and we can show them to you here again. So we'll have some things that we've done so far through this first quarter of 2014 we want to show you and take a look back at some of the work we've done. Lots of great material there, and that's why we do it. You know, we want to show you folks what you want to see. It's all about you as always. I always say that, but that's the truth of the matter. And so when we look back at some of the things that we've done so far, it's nice to be able to show those again for some of you that may have missed it. So we got a little bit of everything. We'll hear from the Principal Chief talking about State of the Nation, and as he got ready for that big address there, lots of people in town looking back on that. And also, as I mentioned, the Code Talkers being honored back in November. Second Chief Roger Barnett bringing those medals and going to put them in the Veterans Affairs office, and also the biggest event, one of the biggest events at the Creek Nation each year, the Challenge Bowl. So we'll take a look at all that. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this first break. You're watching Native News Today.
Momesh Harishungigo Imongin Hobidagi Ani Omaga Bomaha Hoye Imongin Oma Bonchomegigosh. For more information about Muskogee language preservation, please call us at 918-732-7724.
The Muskogee language has always been a part of my life, and so I grew up speaking the language, and I've used it throughout my life. I found that people were interested in learning the language and wanting to revitalize it. The language immersion method of teaching is one that I'm comfortable with. It's a way of reconnecting with our histories and our cultures, and to give this gift or pass this gift on to our children. Mado, hadam chihijahlis.
Looking for your next 18-hole adventure? Then take a look at Fountainhead Creek Golf Club. Nestled in the beautiful confines of Lake Eufaula State Park, large sloping greens and well-placed bunkers characterize the Muskogee Creek Nation's Floyd Farley designed course and offers a fine test of skill for any golfer. Stay up on all the latest gear and equipment with a visit to our pro shop. Have lunch at the Turn at the Clubhouse Grill. We're waiting to accommodate you at Fountainhead Creek. So give us a call at 918-689-3209 or visit fountainheadgolf.com to book your next round. Fountainhead Creek Golf Club, close to home, far from ordinary.
Jehojef got Paul Fixacodos. Ich kann tekobache mikusapkajogon man amikusapkajodos. I'm able to preach in English and Muskogee, our language too, so there's not many that does that today. When I was growing up, that's all we had, Muskogee language, and that's all they preach. I could talk my language when I was small. When I grew up, I could understand what they were saying. We don't want to lose that, language, especially our songs, our native songs and the Muskogee hymns. We want to keep them.
Welcome back to Native News Today, and we've start off here with our first story that made big headlines in January. Of course, you want to talk about January. The biggest headline every year is going to be the State of the Nation address, and definitely wanting to bring that to you from the Principal Chief, but not just the State of the Nation address. This was an exclusive sit down with myself and the Principal Chief where we kind of got away from all the people and the glitz and everything, the address itself, and got to talk about a bare bones conversation. So thank the Principal Chief for this. We hope you enjoy it. This weekend, actually, in the building that we're setting in, you're going to stand before the citizens of the Muskogee Creek Nation and some honored guests and a lot of people to deliver the State of the Nation address. I know that you're so excited about that because, one, you get to talk about all the great things that we've done throughout the year, but also lay out some future endeavors for the tribe.
I'm, number one, I'm honored and humbled to serve in the capacity I do for the people that we all serve, and by Constitution, I'm to give a State of the Nation. It's always an exciting time for the administration. We have an opportunity to do a retrospect of the previous year. And while we're always wanting to promote what this administration is doing, always promote the entire government, because it takes everyone to be involved and to unite behind the efforts that we present to the National Council. We're excited in 2013 that we were able to expand some of the services that we currently provide. Coming in, or even prior to me coming in, I ran on a platform that we need to improve our health area, and I truly believe we have. Last year, as you know, Jason, we purchased what formerly was George Nye Rehab Center, and we purchased the Okmulgee Memorial Hospital. Those are two key purchases by the nation. And I know that, sometimes you have the naysayers saying, well, why are you spending all this money? I have to remind our citizens that we do things in a way that should make them proud. In particular, the hospital purchase was really without paying a single penny. We are now. What we offered to the Hospital Authority Board in Okmulgee was, we know that you're struggling. What we'd like to offer you is to keep the doors open. We assume your debt, and that's how we purchased the hospital. We've already made some improvements. We're looking forward to making additional improvements. And people, our citizens, were using that facility anyway. So for any small community like Okmulgee to close the doors of a medical center like Okmulgee Memorial Hospital would have been devastating. The George Nye, we had heard through some representatives of the state legislature that might be a possibility, that they are looking at letting go of that, if you will, because of the logistics. So most of the providers were coming from Oklahoma City through the OU Medical Center. And so we found out about it. I asked our health personnel to look into it. They did. We met with our representation in the state legislature in my office in case it came out on the floor for any particular reason. We kind of did our homework. And then in August, I believe it was, we sat down with President Bourne, signed the papers on it. What's neat about that is it's a well-known facility, and now it's even the boundaries of what they provide is even extending beyond Oklahoma. I've had a number of calls from different tribal leaders saying, we have a need here, but if we can send them to your place, that's something that we would like to consider. So we're really pleased with those two purchases, and that was purchased through an investment fund that the health division already had. It didn't come out of coffers of the state or the tribe's treasury. So we're pleased about that. We're looking at some other things in health that we want to do. We were able to also increase our scholarship program, higher ed, including candidates for doctoral programs. That's a big, as you know, Muskogee Creek Nation has always been proud of having education as a priority for our students. And we're finally realizing that if we educate them, we need to put them to work. In particular with what we're doing in health, we have people that's worked at the Mayo Clinic, that's worked at some major medical centers throughout the country, coming home to work for their people, Muskogee Creek Nation. So what we do in education is reflective of what's happening now. And in housing, we're looking at, if you will, turning it up a notch and building more homes and looking at how we can use our SIPS panels, our facility in Wetumpka, the more SIPS plants that we can use to build homes and other people wanting to use those, we can put more people to work at that plant. Economic development, putting people to work. I will say this, in the 2 years that we've been in as administration, we've increased our employee count by more than 600 plus. And we don't have enough space to put people. And so that's another thing that we're going to look at doing, is having a building where our citizens can come and take care of business in one building instead of having to go to different places here in the Okmulgee community. But we're really excited about the future. We have a new session. It'll be the first meeting of the new session, and I'm looking forward to working with the council.
You know, when it comes to tribes and what we do on a day-to-day basis, a lot of people on the outside know the word sovereignty, and it's one of those things that it's a hot button word. But here at Muskogee Creek Nation, just from what you've been saying in your remarks there, it seems that we're really practicing it. I don't want to say better than anyone, but my goodness, if you talk about the way, as you said, we're exploring those avenues to fund those purchases ourselves. We're educating through the Higher Education Scholarship Fund ourselves. There's no real need for outside help with a lot of these things. And when we're coming up with that, you got to be just pleased as punch the fact that, you know, our sovereignty is shown on a day-to-day basis with those things.
I think to some degree, Jason, having served on the council for a number of years, 14 years, was kind of an advantage, because I knew that when you talk about sovereignty, unfortunately a lot of our citizens don't really understand when we say sovereignty. Prior to me coming in as chief, I talked to a number of people. One of the experts, if you will, about using sovereignty to its fullest is now my chief of staff. Dr. Bo Colbert and we talked, and I said, you know, Dr. Colbert, I just feel like at Muskogee Creek Nation, we're not using sovereignty to its fullest. And he said, I've noticed that. And then he shared with me some ideas of how we can do that. So you're exactly right. Now, sovereignty not necessarily benefits our tribal citizens, but a lot of communities that we share do not realize that they're enjoying the benefits of sovereignty as well. As an example, the city of Okmulgee. You know, I truly feel, and I don't say this disrespectfully, if it wasn't for OSU IT, Green Country Votech, College of Muskogee Nation, and Muskogee Creek Nation, the survival of this community I grew up in, it was going to struggle a little bit. But we have some great partnerships with the city of Okmulgee, community of Okmulgee, and we see that you know, what we're doing here can also be a snowball effect with other communities. And so it's sovereignty at its finest. That's how I look at it.
And you also mentioned there the partnerships, the community relations. I think what's neat about the last couple of years and really, you know, noticing is the fact that we don't have to knock on anybody's doors anymore. They come to us. Right. You know, you said when we started doing expansion at River Spirit, we had developers from all over the country wanting to come to Muskogee Creek Nation and work with us. And that's also got to be a great feeling, because you look at it as that's our reputation, being as a strong, viable nation that's going to do good business, that's going to attract people to really enhance all of our operations.
Well, I think the enhancement's not only what we're doing in the economic development arena, but also it's I see going across our creek country, a lot of our citizens are, as I use the term a lot, Eric, we're getting our swagger back. Our citizens are holding their heads up a little higher. Their walk is a little bit lighter. They love to see their tribe doing well, and you know, it affects them in a way that we're going to be expanding services. We're improving services. Maybe not at the rate some of our citizens would like to, but we are improving them. We're changing policies so that it would be easier for our citizens to be able to get services, in particular with tribal monies. Of course, federal monies are pretty much mandated how they're to be used. We're doing those, and you know, it's important to let our citizens know, you know, yes, you know, this administration has done some things, but we would never be able to do any of these without the help and the consent of the National Council. We are truly working in a united effort, and I know that last year, during my State of the Nation, I handed out T-shirts to our council, and it says "Solidarity works in Muskogee country," and it still is.
Absolutely. Now, just real quickly, I know you don't want to give away too much because a lot of people are going to be excited about hearing some future plans, but are there some things here in coming up in the next few months that you're going to roll out that you can share with us a little bit, and some things to look for around Muskogee Creek Nation?
Well, if there's one thing that I think is important is that we need to do an aggressive, way of how we're doing some things in economic development. We're proud of what we've done, but we need to step it up another notch. We're excited of some great possibilities with Riverwalk, in particular because it's good timing, especially what we're doing across the river at the casino. With the rebranding of Margaritaville, we feel like it's an opportune time now for the Riverwalk to be part of that. And so we're excited about that. I think the other part is that more and more, and you just said it, there's not only people who want to do business with us, but there's tribal or municipal governments and the state of Oklahoma wanting to partner with us. And who would have thought 3-4 years ago that would happen? And what we do in Muskogee Creek Nation, I've always said, what's good for us is good for the state of Oklahoma and in the communities we all live in. So the excitement is building up to where we want to do more economic development. We want to recoup our investments. I know people say that we spend a lot of money. I don't look at it as spending a lot of money. I look at it as investing in our people, investing in the future of our people. And we're going to continue that. There's some things that we can work with other economic development groups that have approached us about doing some things, and we're going to continue doing that. Because the bottom line is we want to be able to provide jobs for our people. When our citizens have jobs, that means that we're being successful as far as the government is concerned.
Absolutely. And I believe as Sam Alexander told me not too long ago, the relationship with the city of Tulsa has never been better. That's going to allow us to do even more with the river, and that's a section there too. So lots to be excited about.
We're excited the fact that during the State of the Nation, we've got people that are elected officials from federal, state, local levels that's going to be joining us, and that hasn't never happened before.
It's great. Great time to be Muskogee. All right. Well, Chief, thanks for being with us today, and we'll be looking forward to hearing the State of the Nation address this weekend, and all the great things out in front of and that we've done this past year at the Muskogee Creek Nation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thanks to the Principal Chief. Always great to get those moments to sit down with him, really talk about what's going on with our nation and his vision. So I want to thank him for that. Moving right along, we have our Code Talkers honored at Muskogee Creek Nation, a Congressional Gold Medal that was awarded in November in a congressional ceremony there in Washington, D.C., brought back by our Second Chief, Roger Barnett. His idea was to have a nice little ceremony here, not in Washington, right here at Muskogee Creek Nation, and that's why we were there to cover this great story.
It was a proud and emotional day at the Muskogee Creek Nation executive offices last week as Muskogee veterans from all branches and conflicts gathered for a special ceremony held by Second Chief Roger Barnett.
We're having a ceremony for me to turn over the gold medal awarded to the Muskogee Creek Nation for the Code Talkers that we had during World War II.
The ceremony follows a congressional event that was held in November. Recognition brought on by the hard work of Oklahoma legislators.
Congressman Bourne at the time initiated it. They followed through with it. There was 33 tribes in attendance at the time to be recognized and to receive the medals. We had 2 identified citizens at the time that were a part of the Code Talkers for the Muskogee Creek Nation.
Principal Chief George Tiger recalls the impact our native languages had abroad and at home during wartime.
I think people forget that there's almost 500 plus languages that are spoken, in this country. The Navajo certainly got a lot of the pub on it, if you will. But I can remember my dad sharing with me a story during World War II that German intelligence and Japanese intelligence was in this country picking up, regardless of what tribe they were, trying to break codes of the other languages.
Chief Tiger also discussed how pleased he was to have the nation represented by the Second Chief at the Capitol.
To be able to have someone represented us at the event back in November in Congress that Second Chief went, and I just thought he'd be ideal. You know, he's a veteran, and he came back with a very emotional report about how it was probably one of the highlights of his life and being able to be part of that. And then to bring home the medals so they can display at our facility here, it just says a lot about who we are. You know, I always say, you know, adversity has always strengthened us, and I think this is part of that as Muskogee Creek people.
Major Ken Davis, who heads the tribe's Veterans Affairs Office, talked about the selfless nature of Muskogee veterans and how his office might never have known about our Creek Code Talkers had it not been for the Army.
It's interesting. It's the Department of the Army that told us about our Code Talkers. Typical Muskogee. They knew who they were all these years. They knew they were Code Talkers, but very little word ever got out about Mr. Thomas McIntosh and Mr. Leslie Richards. Again, typical Muskogee, matters are best accomplished quietly. So it was the Department of Army that contacted us on who our Code Talkers were from our tribe. We started the research, digging as deep as we could. Their records were burned up in 1973 in the fire of St. Louis. But once we got the information we could, we identified how they were identified as Code Talkers. It was absolutely amazing. And then the United States government steps in and recognizes all Code Talkers from World War II. Yeah, it was quite an honor.
Second Chief Barnett echoed the thoughts of Major Davis, recognizing the humble aspects of the Muskogee Way.
For the most part, we're humble people. We accept what we get and go about our business. But for the most part, for them to be recognized in the tribes was a great day for the 33 tribes at the time.
Today it's such an honor to be here to show our support and just thank not only Second Chief Barnett for doing that for us and going and receiving these medals, but now being able to display them in the Veterans Museum. Being one of the younger veterans in the tribe, and I'm not so young anymore, but amongst my all the elders that are out to support all the veterans here, I mean, it's such an honor that the actual Congress dedicated these medals to the Code Talkers. That's a huge part of our history.
For Second Chief Barnett, a 10th Mountain Division veteran of the U.S. Army himself, it's still hard to describe his feelings being there for the congressional ceremony back in November.
It's hard to imagine. Just the setting at the time was overwhelming for me to look around the room and see the significant building we were in, the attendance of the other tribal leaders, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, other representatives was just an overwhelming feeling in itself. It was probably one of the most significant times in my life.
You know, one of the great things about the Muskogee Creek Nation in the calendar year is that there's months where you look and you can expect big events throughout each month. And as I said, January, you always think State of the Nation. June, Muskogee Creek Nation Festival. Well, around February, we always think Challenge Bowl, going into March Madness, all that great stuff. Challenge Bowl, that's the big tourney. So we love covering the Challenge Bowl. It's one of the biggest events here at Muskogee Creek Nation, and we were glad to be there for the 2014 edition.
First of all, I think the Challenge Bowl, as you said, it's a social environment, and I think education, like in most schools, there's a social element to the learning of our children. So when we gather to have this competition, there's a creation of a social environment in which these young people have an opportunity to express the knowledge that they've gained, preparing for this event. The magnitude of this event is culturally there's just not enough words to express, simply because we feel like it's an event that encourages young people to learn more about the culture, the language, and so in that respect, it's just an event that we're glad all of the schools participate in. One of the emphases of our department especially is building a workforce. It's about strengthening our people and our tribe. And I think the kinds of opportunities that we provide through these kinds of competitions give our young people an opportunity to create an idea that maybe education is important to them. And so not only in their achievement levels in schools, they're growing as people, and they build confidence, and so hopefully they will think about education being a way of building a future, and kind of like I did, eventually maybe come back and serve the tribe.
We've just kicked off. The teams are in the competition rooms now getting ready to compete. They're excited. We're all excited. We had some changes this year with our study guide. So the schools did not get their questions this year, so we're all on level ground this year, and everybody's excited about seeing what the competition is going to be like for this year. Our committee worked really hard in getting new information put into the study guides to get it out to the schools, and working on the questions. Up to the last minute we were working on questions, but everyone's excited, and we're just happy that we got to have it today. We had to reschedule the high school division, and we're having that today. We could not have a Challenge Bowl without the volunteers and without the support, especially of the chief and the National Council. The National Council appropriates funding for the Challenge Bowl, and Johnson O'Malley administers that out of our office, but we have committee volunteers from health, housing, every department almost from the Muskogee Creek Nation. We have volunteers, and they're more than willing to come and help, because they like to see the children compete and having fun.
I've been participating in Challenge Bowl since I was in 3rd grade, so being able to learn, a lot of Creek history and language has been really meaningful to me and helped me, I feel, be able to bring the heritage and culture back and spread it throughout the youth, because a lot of it does seem to get lost pretty frequently. So I figure as much as we can learn, and the more people that we're able to get here and learn and expand our knowledge will greatly help in the long run keep the culture alive and language. Glenpool has always been, I feel, well known and has done pretty decent throughout the years in the Challenge Bowl. So being part of that, we have a class in middle school and high school that focuses solely on it, which I think not only for competition purposes, but for just heritage purposes, people being educated on the Creek culture, it just in general helps define, the school, and makes us who we are. It helps us with, the language, the culture, everything about it, benefits to the kids.
Okay, that'll wrap up this week's edition of Native News Today. We certainly hope that you've enjoyed looking back on the past few months and seeing some of the big headlines, the big newsmakers that have been on the show, and hopefully you got a chance to see some things that maybe you missed, somebody told you about. That's why we did this show, and we certainly hope that you were able to catch them this time if you missed them before. We want to thank everybody out there that makes this show what it is, the viewers, our staff here, and all the great people. Catch us online, catch us right here. We have all kinds of access. We'll see you guys next week.